a short outline, and that covers what is Trello, why do we use Trello, how to set it up, how to get started, then the templates and the best practices. And for the best practices, I will actually show the Trello board that we have for the MFI alumni website. And then there will be integration and how you could learn more. So it's really just a short topic. Actually, may nagtanong nga sa akin, why do you need to conduct a webinar on Trello? So it's really easy to learn, and especially for scholars, madali lang siya. No? So let's try if this kind of webinar would click or it is easier. One thing is for sure, we are all a fast learner. So let's start. What is Trello? You can just Google that. And to see that Trello is actually a web-based Kanban style list-making application, and is a it says a subsidiary of Atlassian. So in most industries these days, Atlassian is really in every corporation. So this is where they do collaboration, knowledge sharing, and a lot of things are really integrated into it. So yeah, this is the short definition. So if you want to learn another tool or another project management tool, you could just Google it and have a quick view of it. And the next question is, why do we actually use Trello? So let us see. Sabi dito, what is Trello? Actually, if you just Google Trello, you also find out what it is useful, what it is used for. But for that, I wanted to try the integration of Menti as well. So we'll do another Menti with Zoom. I'll just start sharing this. So if you could log into Menti again, then let's have another session.
Ano nangyari doon?
Pero anong details nung Menti?
No, you should see it in your sa chat.
Menti.com, yes. Pero yung nahanap na code.
Okay, so this is your code. Can you see it?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait.
Oo, in fairness maganda siya.
No. This is the new code.
Tapos kapag-freelance niyo yung situation, 100,000 yun.
5.7791.
A moment.
Nakita niyo ba?
Okay na. Okay. Thanks.
So the question is, what do you need to successfully manage a project? Actually, tingin ko mas maganda na yung previous webinar natin is about project management. So siguro fresh pa yung mga lectures ni Sir Louis. So coming from 7 people, this is very obvious. No? Your task and progress tracking is really the most important when it comes to project management. And when we say project management, it doesn't just have to be a professional project management. In fact, Randy asked me, para saan ba yung Trello? Can it be used for non-IT project management or something else? I said, I even have a Trello board with my husband. So yung mga gusto namin gawin sa travel, for example, gawin sa bahay, mag-alis ng mga kalat, naka-Trello. Okay, so thanks for participating sa Menti, and balik tayo sa presentation. Wala nga palang presentation. I will continue with this one. So the reason why we use Trello is because we need to do task tracking, and meron din nagsabi yung scope, no, yung clear scope. And actually, if you check the questions, yung time frame is also very important. Na you know when the project should end, or when the task is end. So yung roadmap, for example. Of course, ideally, you have a flexible budget. Now, how do you start Trello? And this is really easy. You just go to the website. And by the way, we're just talking about Trello, but if you look at project management tools, no, with the triple O. So top 10 project management tools, for example, in 2021, you have Kissflow. I haven't used that. Trello, I only use Trello and Asana. Because at the end of the day, it's not really up to you which project management tool to use if you're working in a company. Kung ano yung ginagamit ng company, yun yung gagamitin mo. But as far as I know, most of these tools will have the same concept. And then, in fact, the best peak among them is actually Trello. So how do you set up Trello? It's as simple as going to Trello.com. So let me just try to log off. Share the screen. Let's share ko na yung buong screen ko. So let's go to Trello.com. And okay, I'm sorry, it's German. Okay, I also didn't bother to create a slide to tell you how to register or how to open an account in Trello, because the way that I registered myself is different from the way it is now. No? So laging nagbabago yung process. And the most important is when you just go to registration, this is just like creating a new email account. In fact, kung meron na kayong account sa Google or meron na kayong Apple account, you have Microsoft, you could just use those accounts, just like what I did. Okay, so you just follow the instruction, for example, and there you go. You have the Trello. So, any questions so far, by the way? Okay, so this is our Trello board. This is how I see the Trello, because I have a lot of boards, for example. So when you have set up your Trello account, you will have workspaces. This is a new addition. Before, kaya sabi ko, iba yung way ng pag-register nung nag-register ako sa Trello at saka iba rin ngayon. No, because they just introduced workspaces last month. And workspace is, as the word itself, ibig sabihin, pwedeng isang company or isang organization. And then within the organization, you have several projects. And every project will have its own board. Huh? So that's the concept. So ibig sabihin, you could have a company or a group, or let's say your purpose, then you could have several boards in that. So within Trello, you could once you have set up your Trello account, you could just go to the templates. And there are already templates that are ready to be used, and you can match your requirements from this template. So you don't have to start from the scratch. For example, if you want to use it for business purpose, then you could already have, let's say, order management, grant tracking for like business model, business plan. If you're an educator, there's also an education templates. There's remote class, academic literature, weekly planning. So there are also personal templates. One of those I use. So that's the dating funnel. There is, let's say, writing a book, purchasing a home, meal planning, yung mga conscious sa figure, workout, yung mga mas conscious sa figure. So there you have it. Now, questions so far? You can unmute yourself.
Excited na ako sa business.
Okay.
Bayad mo yun, te. May bayad yung software na yan.
Yes. Yung Trello meron siyang free version. When you sign up, there's a free plan. In fact, the one that we are using for MFI website is just free. Hindi pa natin binabayaran. But I can show you how big it is already. So, by the way, itong view na to is what you call Kanban board. If you remember, nung hinanong natin si Google, what is Trello? Sabi niya, it's a Kanban-based project management tool, right? So, what is Kanban board? If you haven't heard it, this came from, let's say, software development teams, because for the last, let's say, 20 years, yung software development has become very agile, or what do you call this? There are changes that needs to be done in a snap, right? So for example, Microsoft and Google, they do updates almost on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. So gone were the days where the application development would take, let's say, years, tapos naka-define na kung ano yung gagawin, and then after 1 year, they will launch the software, and they don't change it for the next 10 years. So yung software development has evolved into really agile, or meaning continuously evolving or continuously changing. And nagkaroon sila ng practice to have like post-it. So ang ginagawa is they do Kanban board. Tingnan natin to. Yeah. So what the software development team usually do is they will have a stand-up. Then they would have a user story. For example, if you're making, let's say, a YouTube kind of application, then you would say, okay, I want the user to be able to browse a specific topic. And then when they browse a specific topic, it will be shown into like top 10, for example, that topic, and then to add the ads after the first 10 results, for example, or to put the ads at the top and then to put the results at the bottom after the top 10. So those are user stories, and from there they will extract what do they need to do. And what the developers would do is just pick up the post-it that is assigned to them, put it in progress. That means they will be the one doing on it. Then they move it to, let's say, testing process and all. So it started before that they just have a whiteboard and then a lot of colored post-it notes, and they use that to track yung task nila. No? It's a very manual process, and especially with COVID, we already know. But before COVID, very dispersed na yung development team, na yung software development team, and that's the reason why dinevelop yung software-based na Kanban board. So when you say Kanban board, this is the usual view that you have. Okay. Now let's jump into the MFI alumni Trello board. This is as simple as this. Okay, so what you have in the Trello, you have different boards. You could browse on the boards that you have. If you have many, so that means you could also create a lot. So you ask if it is paid or not. All of these boards that I have never paid a cent. Okay, so I have so many boards. The limitations would be how many people could participate and limited views. So for example, I can only have this kind of view where you have the board. This one line is called, or one column is called list. So the list that I have here, I have ideas, suggestions, I have events, contents, to do, and progress. They are called lists. Okay, and in every list you have cards. So this, for example, this is a card. This is a cover card. Like please share your ideas, and then another card is job match, for example. So 3 basic parts. Okay, you have the boards, you have the list, then you have the card in every list. Except for the boards, the cards and the list, or the list and the cards, are draggable. So I could rearrange them easily. For example, if I think that events should be on the leftmost, and you could ask Joey, and Rovik is not here as a web team, but I'm always rearranging this board because usually the to do, for example, I always put in the middle, because when I log into Trello, I have limited time. So I only want to focus in the middle and pick up here what I need to do. So I put it in the middle, and then what else? What other list do we have here? So you have the to-do, the backlogs, the progress completed, and then I added the archive kasi dumadami na yung completed list. We have the roadmap for our website. We have a list for the meetings, security operations, let's say. So it's anything goes. There's no rule what kind of list you need to do. Okay, so for example, when we have accumulated ideas and suggestions, then we created these ideas and suggestions. Otherwise, you would just find them in contents. Clear so far? Do you have any questions? Okay. Silence means no or none. So what do you have in the list? Again, as I have mentioned, there are cards. So as you can see, at the end of the list, you could add a new list. Sorry, nandito yung you can add another list. A list could just be anything. For example, what kind of list? This is just another list, no? And every list you can have a card. So for example, for the list that we entitled Inactive Volunteers, we move here the first batch of volunteers that we have, and we move them here just in case they would activate again, then we could drop them again to the development volunteers. So for example, Chris was inactive. I put his name on the inactive volunteers, and then recently he is joining the fun again, so I move him again to the development volunteers. Okay. Now for the card, as you can see at the end of every list, there is an option to add a card, and what you can find in the card. So when you create a card, you just type any title what you want to be. There's no rule. As you can see, the cards that we have, for example, in the to-do, Rovik was doing the forum, and what do we have there? So it's just a description what is there. You could add the members who should be working with that. So if someone else would be working on the forum with Rovik, then it would be another person. You could just put it in the board among the board members. So the people that you add in the Trello board, would be invited by the one who created it. So for example, right now we have this much people in the MFI alumni Trello board, and you can invite more. There are limitations on the free versions. So yun na lang yung siguro titignan nyo yung details. No? That details could also change, so there's no point in mentioning. Right now we have this much people, so there's 10, there's 15 of us in the board. Now again, let's look at, let's say, I would just look at something that we have a lot of comments. So here you can see we put the due date, and then there are like 11 exchanges of information. So for example, your alumni registration is now marked as completed. You could mark it as completed. These are the members. So we assigned it to Chris and to Rovic. You put a label done. You could add the label what you want. If it is for review or pending, these labels are not, what do you call this, not written in stone. You could add your own label to identify them. And you could add the dates. The date is also optional. Put the description, anything goes here. And every comments you just put here. For example, this is where we are exchanging comments. Okay. So let's say Sarah set this preview that we try to review. And then I added some, okay, what are the data that we need to collect? So we just add some comments. Then if I need to address that comment to someone else, to a specific person, then I would add his name. Then he could comment on that. So the good thing about this is you could easily track what happened to a task or a project. And the things that you can also do in every card are written on the right side menu. So you could add members to it. You could put a label. So you could add whoever is in the board already, or you could invite a new member to the board. Could also add label for easy tracking, because if you imagine if there would be like 1,000 tasks, then it's not easy to read every headline of it. But you could, let's say you wanted to see which one is done. Okay? And I know that when there's a blue tab like this, then I know that it's just done. So I could just look, okay, so we have this much done, for example. No? What else? The good thing as well about Trello is when you put a date okay, I enable the date again. When you put a due date, it sends out a reminder. So you don't need to create for it. If it is integrated to your calendar or to your email account, it sends you a reminder already that you need to do that, or this task is due in the next 2 days or in the next or tomorrow. So you don't need to create a new calendar entry. It's already integrated. You could also add a checklist. For example, let's say you need to do a survey. What should be in the survey? Or you need to plan for an event. So what do you need for that event? Okay, you can copy from previous cards what you have done so far. Any questions so far? And anything else that you would like to see?
And how many yung kayang maging participants? Kaya ba ng 80? Nalibre pa rin, free pa rin.
So far, at the moment, we have 15 members of this board. If you could still add, that means you could still add. If you have reached the limit, it will tell you that, okay, the free version is just up to this much members of the board.
Tapos yung free version, how long it will last? Baka hindi pa tapos yung project, biglang hindi na ma-access.
The board is always there. It will not close.
Oh, it's not close. Ah, okay.
It will not close. I think it's to their disadvantage to close the board kasi maraming magrereklamo, no? Most of this kind of tools na available web-based are actually offering you really useful free version. Really useful free version. Ang mamimiss natin do sa free version is, as you look here, you have a board. Then you could have a timeline view, for example. There's table view, calendar view, and I'm gonna show you that in another tool. So if you go to that kind of view is also the same in another tool. So let's say I just created an account in Asana. It's just go to asana.com, create an account. There's a pre-plan, and this one it tells me 29 days left. So when you have something like this, for example, 29 days left, this will be the one that closes, no? Unless you select a plan. So that's the disadvantage of Asana. But I would like to show you the views that you can have here. So yung sinasabi dito sa Trello, you can have, let's say, timeline view, table view, calendar, and dashboards. We can show them here because it's just the same. So let's say yung list. This is your project list, or to-do list. So as you can see, there's also to-do. Okay, in progress is in bearbeiten is in progress, and this is completed. I'm trying to change the language, but it's taking time. Then if you shift to board view, then you're back to that Kanban view. Okay, and if you have if you go to timeline view, then it will show you like, what is this? I'm sure everybody's very familiar with this. This is the Gantt chart view. And you could also have a calendar view. You have a dashboards. You could have the message. So in your dashboards, you don't need to create a presentation to report your progress in the project. When you have the dashboards, it automatically tracks which task has been completed, what is still in to do, what is in progress, and what is, so you have this already in the dashboard. And again, in the Trello, you could have that already. I just wanted to show you how the Trello will be the same. And you can have messages here, forms and files, all the connections. So how it is shown here in Asana is also the same way you will see in Trello, if you're paying. Okay, so if you upgrade. Then this is something new to me, the map view. I also don't know how it looks like, so I just Googled it, and apparently this is how the map view works. For example, there is like this. Where's the key? Okay. Let me see. Ayaw mag-animate. So when you have the map view of Trello, what it actually does is you could pick on the it doesn't show. You could pick on the map location and then add a task in there. So for example, if you're meeting client in different location, you could go to the maps inside Trello. And then you pick on that location where you are meeting the clients, or where you would have your presentation, or where you would have, I don't know, whatever task you need to do, and you point it there. So if, for example, you use the Trello to track where you have the sales presence, or where you have your activities dispersed, then it will show you that, okay, you have actually 100 tasks in a month that is happening in Manila, or it's happening in Cavite, for example, happening in Singapore. No? I'm sorry, we're 10 minutes beyond the time. Do you still want to stay, or do you still have questions?
Stay.
Okay, cool. Actually, there's not that much for me to say. I just wanted, I'm curious about your questions that we could, because we have here a live Trello board, yung MFI alumni website. And by the way, we're looking for volunteers. You don't need to be a web developer to join us. There's a lot of tasks that we could really use a hand and a couple of eyes. So,
Curious lang, Opel.
yeah.
How to start up. Pwede ako mag-screen share. Gulong-gulo ako eh.
Sure. Yeah. I think participants could share. Tama ba?
Post disabled. Disabled ang screen sharing.
Okay. So let's say, you want me to show the start?
Start up from board to cards to list.
Okay, let's do it again.
Thank you.
So let's see. I think I need to log off and then try to create again. So sorry, German. But just disregard the language. I would create a new account, for example. Let's say.
Kasi puno na ba yung board mo?
My screen. Wait for it. Okay. So this is the first like creation of Trello. Okay. So what you need to do is to first create a workspace. So just put a workspace name, for example, let's say MFI alumni workspace. Then you choose the type, if it is supposed to be for education, for HR, or let's say
operations. Operations.
Operations. Okay. So now you are in the operations. Then you can invite the team to this. So let's say I will invite my other self.
Thanks.
Another way, right? So let's say invite this, invite to workspace. You just need someone to be there. Then once you have the workspace, then you can create a board. And to create a board, you can just choose from the templates or start from scratch. So let's say I want to use you say operations?
Yeah, project
operations. Okay, so you have this team goal setting, decision tracking, project management. So let's say project management template. And there you have the board. So you could change this. So normally you would have tips, but of course, if you don't need the tips anymore, then you just edit them. This doesn't allow me to edit. I could just maybe delete it. Okay, wait. So this is a template. Okay, you need to do create a board
from.
Yeah.
So create a board from blank. Pwede yun. No template.
From
no template, not templated.
Yeah.
Your own.
Yes, you can also do that. So let's say this is your operations board. And now this is your board and you can edit it. I would skip this step. I would skip this step as well. And now you have the board. You can edit every part of it. You could change this one. For example, you have so you could change that. You could change the label that you want to put in it. And there you go. You just start. Even if you start in a template and then you decided, oh, okay, I'm just confused with it. You can just delete it or then create your list.
Mm-hmm.
No?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Cool. So one last for the next step is there is more that you could do. Once you see these 3 dots, it will give you an option, for example, to add a card, to add list, to move. And this could change. So it's no point for us in discussing it now. But as you can see what else you could do to it. Once you see the 3 dots, then that's really what's more in it. Just wanted to show this. The show menu, for example, you could see more information about the board that you have. And again, the 3 dots means more. Automation is quite new. You could define rules. For example, I haven't used this. So you could create button to, like, you have a butler to send reminders to, like, to just click assign me if you're doing your Trello board or if you're logged into Trello. If you pick on a task, you could just have a shortcut button to assign the task to yourself. So watch out for this automation because they are everywhere. So again, when we have this kind of list, all the cards are draggable. For example, if there's one task here that is not assigned to anybody, like let's say this online community or social media, let's say I want to assign it to myself, I could just put my name to it, and then it will send me a reminder. If I would add a due date to it, for example, let's say this should be completed by end of August, then it will, you could define when you would receive the reminder. So let's say 2 days before, 1 hour before, and you save it. So there you go, it's assigned. Now, when you come to the day when you would be working on this task, then you just move it to in progress. Then if you have a question, for example, let's say I would ask Robic, let's say, what have you got about this topic? And that's just it. The next time Robic answers that, or it will also send Robic a notification that I have a comment or I have a question for him, and it's there. So if Robic would like to respond to this comment, he could just log in and then put his comment. Here so far? Any other questions?
Question.
Yeah.
Paano yung mga ibang documentation? Let's say, hindi sila member ng Trello pero kailangan ko i-share yung info.
O yun nga.
May import ko ba yan?
Info.
Let's say, meron kang ginawang, yan, yung mga completed, kasi gusto ko makuha yung mga dates, i-report customer. So, pwede ko ba yung import para mailagay sa reporting?
Yeah, you need that on the reports. Pwede. You could have that on the reports. Unfortunately, hindi ko yung mapapakita sa ngayon. But if you go to Asana, there are reports in there, like yung dashboard. You could filter the dashboard. Let's say you just wanted to have this completed task, for example. You could you could copy this or export this to a PowerPoint presentation, or you could just send it an email. Pido?
Okay.
Yeah. There are options like that, although it's part of the limitations. So there's some mga free versions. Questions?
Yeah, hi, Opel. There's a question sa ating chat box from Lloyd. So sabi niya rito, will the Trello mobile app look the same?
Good question. I was about to say, you can also use Trello in mobile. So I'm most of the tasks that I do here in the Trello board ng alumni, I do in my mobile, because the only time I could do some tasks or I could check some items in the Trello is when I'm resting at the couch. So I'm just I'm just using it on my mobile apps, and it's really very helpful. It's very adapted to the mobile apps. Question back. May question pa ba? Yeah, it's not really bad for a free account.
Yes, ma'am. May question lang po ako.
Mm-hmm.
Ma'am, for the group, halimbawa, nakakonekta yung ibang person do sa, sa account mo, can they modify yung ginawa mo? For example, yung kapag nakashare siya.
So lahat ng members ng Trello board could modify, but actually it's really, the Trello is useful for a small team, no? So hindi yung untraceable yung tracks. You could always trace who changed it kasi nakalag lahat. So for example, lahat ng actions nakalag, which is really good. So for example, I moved this card from to do to in progress. It's already logged here. I joined this card. I added Joey, for example. It is here. If I deleted something, it is also logged. So you could easily track. I don't know the motive of the question. If you want to see something, but yeah, everybody has the right to edit, to add new comments, to add new contents to the card, to drag it, to move it anywhere. It's logged anyway. So if you have concerns on that, then you could just approach your team member.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So as you can see, yung nilagay namin dito, let's say yung events, create a card for the events, then share your ideas. These are our boards, no? Pick up your own task, assign it to yourself, move it in progress. Dahil konti lang yung volunteers natin, and it's quite an overload if we would assign one to just one person. So what you do, we just put the to-do tasks and the backlogs. Then whoever would have time to do that, then we'll pick up that task. Okay, I will do this. Okay, this is how it goes. Unless there is really a timeline. So if there's a deadline, then we assign the task to someone. Question pa? By the way, the first time I used Trello was February this year. So I'm also new to Trello, but it's just my way of saying that it's very easy to be accustomed to, and it's very helpful. And also the good thing, if you are working in a company that uses Atlassian, for example, you have the same Trello board in Atlassian or Jira. If you're using Microsoft in Teams, there's also Trello. You could add the Trello apps. It's already integrated. And there will be more of this integration. So you just need to be in the loop. So for example, I just learned today that yung Menti is already integrated to Zoom. I've been using Menti since April. It's just today that I realized you could have the Menti in Zoom. Yeah. So those are things that continuously evolving and just really need to be curious. And actually, that's it I wanted to say about the integration. And the next step, there's a lot of YouTube videos about Trello that you could watch. There's a channel for Trello, and I'm sure you would find specific questions that you have there. Otherwise, you can always ask me as well. You can always ask around the web team.
Hi, Opel. There's a follow-up question from Lloyd. And sabi niya dito, can you limit privilege or access for boards to specific members to avoid unwanted or unauthorized changes?
So the members of the board, you have to trust your member. That's the idea.
Okay.
You have to trust your member. Otherwise, don't put them in your board. So you need to trust your team. As you can see here, I said, please do not publish any page or content without admin approval. Test page and staging site. So you need to communicate this way. It's not like you have a board and you don't talk to each other. So the web team, we do have weekly meetings. Sometimes we cancel. We do every other week meetings. We send messages. So it's not like you have the board and you don't talk anymore. So this is a team tool, and it should not make you like robots. No, it's supposed to help you communicate better.
Question, Te. Another question. Pwede bang i-link yung mga file, like yung mga Excel file, AutoCAD drawings, dyan sa Trello?
I'm not sure about linking, but usually we put them here. So for example, job postings, put here. There's no secrets in what we do in the website anyway. So you can see job posting, we have ideas, and then we put here the images. You can also put any files that you want to put, for example. So you could add the file from your computer, from Google Drive. So if you want it to be automated, or if you want it to be more dynamic, then you link it to an online drive, for example, Google Drive, Dropbox, or OneDrive, or any of this. Otherwise, if it's just coming from a computer, then if you update it, then you need to paste it again.
Okay, thank you. May Google Drive pala.
Yeah, the Trello is also well integrated to Google. So if you have the G Suites or the Google Suite, you could also find Trello in there. It's part of the package. Any other questions? Saya ng discussion. Daming questions.
Very interesting yung topic. Yeah, maraming question.
Oo nga, masaya.
Hey guys, baka meron pa kayong mga tanong habang we have still enough time for some 1 to 2 questions.
More na yata.